Hi there. Okay. We are live. Welcome, Mambo. And thank you for being here. Tonight I'll be sharing the working itinerary for our newest adventure, the Hobnail Safari. We'll go over the parts of this itinerary that touch your senses, primarily the sights, sounds, smells, and tastes of a Tanzanian safari. There's no touching here. You don't want to touch on a safari. I'll discuss transportation, accommodations, meals, what's included and what's not included, and I'll share a lot of photos. All but maybe one or two I took myself. And I'll even leave time at the end to answer all of your questions. Sound good? Great. Let's see. Okay, so I visited Tanzania in May of this year. And let me share my screen. Let me go ahead and share it. And share screen. Boop. And here we go. There it is. Okay. So I visited Tanzania in May of this year. This is the group of us. And it was my first time in Africa. An African safari has been on my bucket list for a really long time. So this was truly a dream come true for me. I can tell you this experience far exceeded any expectations I had and left me with incredible memories that I will keep for the rest of my life. But more than what this did for me personally, it provided Hobnail Trekking with a ton of sample itinerary options so that we could put together the perfect trip. We were able to pull what we think is the best from all the safaris in 3 different parks and build authentic, immersive cultural experiences and the history of the region and its people all into this itinerary. So we'll get into all of this tonight, but first I want to give you a brief background of Hobnail Trekking. My name is Holly Johnson. You might have already figured that out. My husband, Mark, and I, that's us in Nepal, we started Hobnail Trekking Company in 2017, specifically to organize trips to Nepal, most notably to Everest Base Camp. Our first group, which included us, made this trip to Nepal in March of 2018. Here we are at base camp. It was a cold morning. And since then, our company has expanded to include other epic destinations around the world, including Peru, Scotland, France, Italy, Montenegro, Morocco, Spain, Tanzania, Croatia, and Ecuador. And in the next few months, we'll be adding Iceland, Slovenia, Bolivia, Patagonia, and the Azores to that list. And although our focus has always been on trekking, we now offer trips that are trekking light, or as the Brits would say, our friends across the pond, they're more like walking holidays, but they're always an adventure. So here we are tonight talking about a safari in Tanzania. Let's get started. And please feel free to add any questions you have as they come to mind. You can put them in the comments field. If I don't address them during the presentation, I'll be sure to do it at the end where we'll leave time for questions. And again, unless otherwise mentioned, I took all of the photos you'll see tonight from my iPhone. Nothing fancy here, folks. I'm not a professional photographer, but this is how easy it is to take great photos when you're in an amazing place. So first, let's talk about what a safari is. When someone says safari, what comes to mind for you? Is it the big Jeep you're in riding through national parks and it's got big windows and the roof's up? Or are you using binoculars to try to find animals in the bush? Do you picture sleeping in some kind of a sturdy tent and you're eating all your meals outdoors in the fresh air? Maybe you're wearing neutral colored clothing and a wide brimmed hat and you're trying to fight off the dreaded tsetse fly. So if this is what you're thinking of, you'd be spot on. All of those things are true. The definition of safari is simply an expedition for observing wild animals in their natural habitat. In Swahili, which is the primary language of Tanzania, safari simply means journey, and it's an incredible one at that. There are several different types of safaris, including your basic game drive, which isn't really basic. It's cool by itself. Also night drives, walking safaris, and even hot air balloon safaris. So we won't be offering a walking safari in this itinerary, but we will cover the others I've mentioned. First, let's talk about the physicality of the adventure. Overall, this would be considered a low intensity adventure. There'll be short hikes, maybe a mile or two, not with intensity, but just enjoying the walk. And those will be mostly in villages and towns or on cleared paths or trails. It won't require 6 months of intensive training like you would need to climb Kilimanjaro, but you should be in generally good physical shape. Mainly, you'll need to be able to sit for long airplane rides, long game drives, sometimes that are very bumpy, and be able to walk a couple of miles on flat ground. But for those who do want a physical challenge in everything that you do, and we know who you are, we'll cover that in a few minutes. So where is Tanzania? This is not my photo. Cracking myself up. Okay, Tanzania is here. This is Africa. You may remember from high school, and although the names of a lot of these countries have changed, and here's Tanzania right here. And then if you zoom in, Tanzania is all of this, and the airport is in Moshi, and you'll be in kind of this area, Arusha, Lake Natron, Serengeti, Ngorongoro. So you're going to kind of be like all up around this area. Hopefully you can see my clicker. Anyway, Tanzania is known for its exotic wildlife, of course. I mean, the Serengeti's there. But what you may not know is that this country is rich in culture, home to more than 120 different tribes and ethnic groups. You'd expect that there would be some pretty serious clashes between these tribes, but that is their history, not their present. Unlike some of the neighboring countries, Tanzanians have learned to live peacefully and in harmony with each other, regardless of their differences. In fact, you'll even visit one village in particular where mosques and churches are practically next door to each other, and the villagers marry without consideration of tribe, ethnicity, or religion. Here at this village, you'll also enjoy a feast of a buffet made especially for you by the residents. And I'm understanding that I'm going to stop sharing real quick and get my, sorry, give me 1 sec. I want to get my pointer to show. Oh, it thinks it's showing. Sorry, that's the best I can do. Okay, let's start sharing again. And I apologize for the pointer issue. I will describe what I'm talking about. Okay, so because my pointer won't work, you'll see a white line going from like the top left to the right in the middle of the screen. And you see a big circle that says Mount Kilimanjaro National Park. And underneath that, you see Moshi. And Moshi is the airport where you arrive. Mount Kilimanjaro National Park's there. You'll see Arusha in big letters, not far from Moshi. And then if you follow that line up towards the left, you see Lake Natron. You'll be there. And then sort of just left of that, you'll see Serengeti National Park. And down to the right, you'll see Ngorongoro Conservation Area. So this is kind of the kind of squishy triangle that where you'll be. Okay, so we've created 2 itineraries for this adventure, actually. One is a 10-day trip and the other is a 12-day trip. And for the sake of this live stream, we're going to discuss the 12-day itinerary. So first, the wildlife parks. Excuse me. You'll visit 3 different areas to view wildlife: Tarangire, Ngorongoro Crater, and the Serengeti. In all three areas, you'll have the opportunity to see the big five, which is lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, and rhinoceros. Some are more commonly found in one area than another. For example, you're more likely to see a rhino in the Ngorongoro crater. And oops, that's not it. Here's the crater. And we actually, when I was there, we saw a rhino on our very last day in the crater. And it was from far away, but we did see it. And I have a picture. I'm not going to show it because it's like a bad picture. You have to like way zoom in, but I saw one. And then the famed migration only occurs in the Serengeti. And we also saw that. Tarangire isn't as popular as the other two, but don't discount it because it was probably my favorite of the three. And it was in Tarangire where we saw this guy. This is a leopard, and it's a rare sight to be able to spot a leopard. See what I did there? And also we saw these guys here. And I love this picture. Mark doesn't love it as much, but I really love it. Okay, on most game drives, you'll be in a large safari vehicle that fits 7 to 8 comfortably in addition to the driver. And that is so that you have extra room for lunches and snacks and coolers and legs. Excuse me. We will limit it to 6 passengers in each of the vehicles. There's large windows on all sides, so you can open and close them easily. The top of the vehicle pops up, so you can stand up and have a 360-degree view. They're also great for viewing with binoculars and taking photos. So this is a funny picture that my friend Robin took. So I did not take this one. Obviously, I'm sleeping. She took this because everyone else was asleep except for her. But you can see like she's got her legs crossed. He's got plenty of room. We have, there's 5 of us here, 1 in the front seat, and that we just took turns. And then we've got all this space back here for lunches and any extra stuff. So you'll only have 6 in there, even though theoretically you could put 7 or 8. And then, oh, yeah, here's a completely inappropriate picture that the 7th grade boy in me loves, but this is something we saw as we were leaving the crater, and he's just grooming his friend here, but we just all got such a kick out of it. This is a good shot of what the vehicle looks like. You can see it's like all windows. And then notice how high up the roof goes so that you can easily stand and be like free of any kind of door frame or window or whatever. Excuse me. By the way, this is a list of the animals and birds we saw during our safari in May. That's a lot of stuff, and ours wasn't 12 days. And then here are some of my favorite photos from the trip. If you stay till the very end, I'll show you my favorite photo of all, and I'll let you know which animal is my favorite. But this is a beautiful lioness hanging out on a big rock. Some kind of a hawk, but he was pretty close to our car, so I was able to get a cool picture of him. These are a bunch of elephants hanging out under a baobab tree, and you'll see a lot of these trees. They're really cool shaped, and you'll learn why they're known as the tree of life. But I can't give everything away, you know. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, Tanzania is rich in culture, and a big part of that is the Maasai tribe. For me, it was really important to experience the tribe in an authentic way during my trip, and that's what we're offering you in this itinerary too. You'll spend 2 nights near Lake Natron in a camp run by some of the members of the Maasai tribe. And these are the folks that were there when I was there. This is right outside of Lake Natron. I mean, in that area, walking about a mile or 2. This will be the most basic of all of your accommodations, but you'll still be blown away by like a proper bed. It's not a cot. It's like you look like you're in a room in a lodge. There's a bed, there might be like a little desk or a chair. Um, they all have well equipped ensuite bathrooms, crazy hospitality, comfortable beds, hot water showers every day. This had compostable toilets, but all the others had flushing toilets. And the composting toilet was fine. Like, um, amazing. These guys are great. And this is a picture of our tents from the outside. So there would be 2 people in each tent. If you're a family, if there's 3 of you, they can put 3 beds in there. Or if you're by yourself, then, you would just have a bed to yourself. But this is what they look like. And each one is considered kind of like its own room. So there would be one of these, a whole series of them side by side. So during your stay there, you'll experience their Maasai culture through a variety of immersive experiences, like participating in the morning chores in the Boma, which is their traditional village, or walking through a variety or walking through a more modern version that only recently received electricity, more like a city, but it's a Maasai city, so it's still very small. You'll learn about the life of a Maasai warrior, traditional medicine. You'll hike to the hominid footprints and the edge of Lake Natron, where you'll see flocks of flamingos, and also Kenya. You can see Kenya from this side of Lake Natron. Sundowners are a common thing while on safari, and a sundowner is simply coming together at the end of the day to enjoy a drink while watching the sunset. And drink can be anything from like a beer to a Coke or a water. Usually that's in a scenic area. So you're not just watching the sunset, but you're like watching the sunset over the Serengeti or something like that. So one of these sundowners will take place near the Maasai camp, where you'll be greeted by several members of the tribe who live nearby. And this is from the ridge that we were at for our sundowner. This was looking at our camp. In fact, I think this was my tent here. Oh, sorry, you can't see. Mine was third from the right. Crazy beautiful. And on another day, you'll enjoy a traditional goat barbecue while finding out if you have what it takes to be a Maasai warrior. Spoiler alert, you won't. You'll hike a rocky path alongside a creek to a gorgeous hidden waterfall. And it's here that I said out loud to myself, I am in a waterfall in Tanzania, because I couldn't soak that in and I needed to say it out loud to try to really understand how cool that was. This is a picture taken from literal seconds before I fell in. This is me. Mark refers to me as notoriously awkward, and he would be correct. This is me. It's like kind of a big step down, not a like ridiculously big step even. I'm just awkward. And I stepped down and then I fell in. But Lemra, our Maasai guide, was there. This is walkable water. It wasn't like a dangerous thing at all. I just felt really dumb, but the water was awesome and we all had a good laugh. So anyway, I mentioned a few different types of safaris earlier. So in addition to the game drives that you'll be doing most days, you'll also experience a night game drive. So don't worry. There's an armed ranger that accompanies you on this drive, so you're safe. But it is a different experience because you're not able to rely on your eyes. You're just hearing sounds and smells, and you're seeing stars overhead. And then they have a guy on the front of the car that's like shining a spotlight to try to catch the eyes of the animals. And it's here where I first saw a giraffe. So that was really cool. But it's a completely different experience and just really awesome. One of the optional experiences on this itinerary is a sunrise balloon safari. This is over the Serengeti. Crazy awesome. Here is me. It looks like we're just slightly off the ground here. And so you arrive at this location just before dawn so that you can be in the sky as the sun rises. And then after the flight, you enjoy a magical breakfast on the Serengeti, like long table laid out. You feel like you're in a movie. And for people who get car sick, and if you know me, you know that I am the worst about this. Like I have to sit in the front seat. I'm going to be nauseous on an airplane. I'm going to be nauseous on windy roads, like always. You do not get nauseous at all on a balloon ride. So I don't know. This was my first, and it is so smooth. You hardly even know you're in the air. It's literal floating, but without the like stomach thing. Couple more pictures from the safari. All of these little things down there, those are all buffalo. So from up above, it just sort of looks like some kind of movement or tall grass or something. Those are all buffalo. These are hippos we saw from the air. This photo only has two, but there might even be one about ready to come up in the bottom. But there were certain little ponds where there were like 50 of them. But hippos are cool. And then this is me. You can see we're up pretty high now. Again, you're safe the whole time because they've got radios with people on the ground saying, okay, when you come down, you don't want to come down in this area because we spotted a lion here or something like that. So you're safe. Nobody wins. It's not good for anybody if someone gets hurt on a safari. It's not good for the park. It's certainly not good for business. So they are all about safety. Okay. And if you're not into the balloon safari, you might want to spend several hours here. I won't tease that slide yet. You might want to spend several hours at the rhino sanctuary, which is also an optional experience. Here, you'll observe the wardens as they take care of the endangered rhinos. On my safari, we only saw that one rhino that I told you about from pretty far away on the very last day. So if a rhino's on your must-see list, you'll want to seriously consider this excursion. Okay, accommodations. I mentioned the Maasai camp at Lake Natron, but let me tell you about some of the other camps you'll stay in. So technically it is a tent because the fabric, the walls are all made of like thick canvas tenty material. So you'd only know it's a tent though from the outside. So in the inside, like I said, it looks like a lodge room. You've got ensuite bathrooms, you've got wood floors, hot water showers, flushing toilets. There's electricity in the rooms. You can plug your phone in. Always mosquito nets on the bed. And as our guide said, if there's a mosquito net there, it's there for a reason. So use it. In this room, you see I had a fan, so that was pretty cool. I think I pulled it up to my bed to blow on me for just extra circulation throughout the night. But the beds are large and they're like a normal bed. You've got blankets, sheets on them. Like it's like staying in a hotel. It's awesome. You will have electricity. If you want to, you can even leave the outer part of the tent open at night. And this is what I did on this day, on this night. This is in the morning. You can leave that open if you want to wake up to the sunrise, like I did here. So in the morning, you will get hot tea or coffee and juice with your hot breakfast before you leave for your first activity of the day. For lunch, wherever you stayed the night before, they pack a box lunch for you. And this is like common. You always get a big box lunch. And it's a variety of breads, meats, fruits, definitely something for everyone and way more than you can eat. It's like twice as much food as you can eat. So we would like trade, hey, I really like that chicken sandwich. So, great. I really like this thing. And so we traded, and then we had one box where we put all the extra food. So if you got hungry during the game drive, you could pull something out and eat it. And all meals actually provide way more than you can eat, but you'll want to try because everything's so good. Dinner each night at the camps are hot meals with breads, Variety of meat and vegetables and rice, great desserts, soup. There's a lot of soup, and I'm a big soup person anyway, but the soups are so good. They're usually vegetable soups, and they're good. So the soup's always a starter. And there's a lot of banana in the dishes because they grow there. And that's a big part of their agriculture, actually. So whatever else is in season and the bananas will be used in your meals. So if you go at one time of the year, it might be a completely different menu than if you go at another time of year. All the food's fresh, it's cooked right there for you, and the service is amazing. It's like filling your glasses constantly, anything you need. One of the people on our trip was gluten-free, and they brought her like a plate of rolls, of gluten-free rolls. Like a normal person would eat like maybe 2. They brought her like 6. She's like, what am I going to do with all of these rolls? So like the service is amazing. The camps are all secured at night by Maasai warriors. So these tribe members walk around everywhere at night. They make sure everything's safe. You don't walk around without a Maasai warrior guide after dark. And some camps, you don't even do it during the day. You're safe in the care of those warriors, but you do not want to kind of like wander around camp at night and see what's going on. Okay, some other things you should know. I'm a bathroom snob. I know it's more than you needed to know, but it's true. And every single public bathroom we entered was clean and spacious and had running water for hand washing. I was really surprised by this. I mean, in national parks, they had like full-time attendants keeping the bathrooms clean and tidy, and it was great. Number 2, you don't want to drink untreated water while you're in Tanzania, but you will have access to all the filtered water you can drink. Bring your own reusable bottle because the country's big on sustainability and plastic is practically forbidden. Okay, then there's these little critters. Anyone know what these are? This is the tsetse fly, and they are a real pain in the butt, as their reputation holds. You will definitely encounter a lot of these. They will live up to their reputation of being a nuisance. Some of the folks I was with got bit. I didn't. I actually considered it like a badge of honor that I got through the whole trip without being bit by one. I wore bug spray. I reapplied it regularly. I dressed in neutral. This is actually a shirt that I took with me on the trip because the flies are attracted to green, blue, dark colors, bright colors. They are less interested in whites and khakis and like that light green safari color than all the other colors. So your wardrobe might be a bit drab, but it worked. And also, so I don't know where I got this idea, but I thought that like if you got stung, you would be sick. And it's not that way. It's like any other thing. Some of the flies carry the African sleeping sickness. Yes, Russ. But most of the time, if you get bit by a fly that carries that disease, you might just feel sort of sleepy or a little bit off for like a day, and then you'll be okay the next day. Folks on our trip got bit multiple times were totally fine. So this was something that I was worried about and turned out to be like a non-issue. But get bug spray. It can be really hot and it can be really muddy. I was there right after an unusually heavy rainy season and we saw a lot of mud. So I recommend waterproof shoes because there were times where we had to kind of walk through the mud and not like for a distance, but like to get from one side of something to another. And so you're just going to want to have waterproof shoes. And you will hear animals at night. The one night in particular, I was in my, excuse me, in my tent alone. And of course, alone, I was there by myself. And I heard a noise that I thought was someone in the tent next to me snoring. And I thought, oh, Rich is snoring really loud tonight. But then I thought, his tent's like 50 feet away from mine. How am I hearing him snore? and it wasn't rhythmical enough. And then I realized it wasn't my neighbor, it was a lion walking through our camp. Um, but I wasn't scared because at that point I had learned from our incredible guide Rama that we are not the lion's business. Lions, if they were to bite a person, it would be put down. So they don't know that we taste good. So they're not interested in us. If we like provoke it, something might happen. But me laying in my tent, I am not the lion's business. And I just laid there just enthralled by the fact that I could hear a lion just kind of making a sound as it walked through the camp. So the first time I heard animals in the camp, I was nervous, but then it got to be just really cool. We'd hear hyenas, we'd hear zebras zebras sound a lot like hyenas. And then that was like our breakfast topic was, okay, what animals did you hear last night when you were going to sleep? So this is a picture of a buffalo right near the edge of the dining deck at one of the camps we visited. So again, my pointer won't work, but if you see the big bushy bush, or maybe it's a fallen tree type thing in the middle of the screen or in the middle of the picture, and then there's a brown thing next to it, that's the buffalo. And you see the edge of the dining deck there. So that's how close the buffalo was. Again, no one's in any danger, but it's cool to be out and be, you are in nature. You are in the Serengeti. You are in Ngorongoro Crater. You're in these parks where these animals live, and they're kind of just existing around you, and it's cool. Since I mentioned our guide Rama, you need to know that you are in the very best hands possible. This is me and Seema, who oversees our safaris and Kilimanjaro climbs in Tanzania, and then Rama, our guide. And he's amazing. The guide's job is not just driving the vehicle around, and it's not just driving the vehicle around and looking for animals. They are like an encyclopedia of knowledge about all the animals and birds in the park. So they can quickly identify animals. They'll tell you about their habits. They know where to look, when to look. They know, okay, well, the hyenas are usually doing this thing at about this time of day in this area. Like, they know everything. They can identify a ridiculous number of birds. And they've got, he's got these manuals where he can quickly like look it up if he doesn't. And they'll tell you interesting facts about the animals, and they really draw you into their stories. And we'll ask him about like crazy things that happened on past safaris, and he'll tell us stories. They are wonderful and kind and patient and helpful and generous beyond belief. Okay. Sorry. I know it's annoying when I clear my throat.